Notre Dame adds a class of 2027 quarterback recruit.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're going to be talking about Teddy Jarrard, his impact on Notre Dame's quarterback depth chart as he is just committed to the Fighting Irish. They're putting together quite the depth chart, so let's dive right into it. Teddy Jarrard, 6'3", 205 pounds, somewhere in that range, and he's just not your normal guy in terms of accuracy. He's got the mobility to run RPO, get outside the pocket, but it really starts and ends with Teddy's ability just to put the ball where he wants it. There's nothing more important than accuracy when throwing the football. Arm strength's great, trajectory, knowing when to release the ball, but he just has a knack. Whether he's under duress, whether he's on the run, whether it's a drop back and he's just sitting there reading the defense, Teddy puts the ball where it needs to go. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks I've seen over the last couple of years, and the class of 2027 prospect out of North Cobb High School in Kennesaw, Georgia, has the demeanor to fit that position as well. He's even keeled, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, and he's a guy that's pretty easy to get along with. Being around him a couple of times at Rivals Atlanta and Rivals 5-Star at the Colts facility just outside Indianapolis, he's always the same personality day to day. Consistency is a very good word to place right next to Teddy's name. That's his day-to-day mentality. He wants to be consistent, and he's also getting consistently better. While his film from his sophomore year was good, the way he's worked between the end of last season to this point, he's improved leaps and bounds just in that time frame, and that's why all the offers came in. Penn State, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and numerous programs around the country decided to offer Teddy a scholarship in addition to Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'm not surprised. I knew he was pretty good when I saw him originally, and I'd seen he had a few offers, but then I saw him live, and it's totally different. I enjoy watching huddle film and all that, but there's nothing like seeing a guy live, especially from 5 feet away, watching him throw, like literally 5 feet away. The arm strength is there, the ability to get the ball out quick, and his release is spectacular. And above all else, though, again, accuracy. That's where it starts with Teddy. And I think he will be able to help Notre Dame attract some wide receiver recruits, because it's not going to be very hard after a lot of these guys down south have seen him play to want to go up to South Bend to play as well. Now let's look at Notre Dame real quick here from a bigger perspective. The quarterback depth chart is pretty impressive. Just going by seniority when they brought him in, Kenny Minchey was a Elite 11 kid. He's a guy that is from the state of Tennessee. He's very mobile. He did a backflip after a touchdown in the Blue Gold game this spring. That's a kid that's a bit underrated. And if it wasn't for CJ Carr, I think he would be the starter this year. But I think CJ will beat him out. And he's the guy that signed with Notre Dame from the class of 24. That's as accurate a quarterback as you're going to get. Him and, ironically, Teddy Jarrard are very, very similar. They have the ability to move the pocket, make plays, but their ability to get the ball out quickly and accuracy are probably their two biggest assets. And then the Irish got Blake Hebert, the young man he's from Canada originally, but he went to the Brunswick School in Connecticut. Powerful, 6'3", 215, can really run, and he has the ability to get the ball down the field too. He's a very, very big-time prospect in terms of his upside. I don't know how long it'll take him to develop, but the athleticism, the arm strength, the size are all there. And then Notre Dame got Noah Grubbs, the kid that's committed for the current soon-to-be senior class out of Lake Mary High School. Another guy, 6'3", 205 pounds, somewhere in that range, maybe 6'4". Very, very intelligent. He's been throwing the ball all over the place for Lake Mary the last couple of years. He won the Future 50 quarterback challenge last summer as the most accurate quarterback at that prestigious event. And then now we get back to Teddy Jarrard. So you've got a plethora of options. Congrats to Notre Dame for figuring it out, because this is not easy. Quarterback recruiting is a very competitive business within itself. Not just recruiting, quarterback recruiting. It's its own entity. Notre Dame has done a tremendous job of it. And you got to give them credit because honestly, around 2020, 2021, if you'd have looked at their depth chart and where they ended up, and just a couple years later, it started to change, getting both Grubbs and now Gerard and Hebert and all these different guys, just one after the other, they're all good. You're going to hit on somebody. It's just mathematically almost impossible not to. I will be surprised that no matter who ends up following either Minchey or Carr isn't very good as well. Notre Dame recruiting at the quarterback position is on the way up. It is approaching kind of that Ohio State level. Teddy's ranked number 2 for what it's worth in the Rivals rankings at the quarterback position. Everybody's got their opinions. And for those that are at Rivals, they've seen him live. I was at the same event. So they're going to have him higher than some other people. But wait till he plays this season for North Cobb. And it's kind of that same way with Grubbs and some of these other guys. They get back on the field, I think you'll see some of the rankings go up. But Notre Dame just overall has done a very good job at recruiting quarterbacks. And this is what makes the sport fascinating. Which guy's going to end up being the starter? Which guy's going to end up being the guy that not only gets you to the playoff, but can get Notre Dame over the top? That's the big question. Is CJ Carr going to do it? Is it Minchey? Is it a combination? And then can they keep that rolling afterwards? Before I wrap up, a couple of questions for you, whether you like or hate Notre Dame. Are you surprised that based on Notre Dame's history of being a more power football downhill team, even in the Holtz era, they ran option and whatnot. Are you surprised that Notre Dame's now recruiting quarterback at an elite level? To some degree, I am, because it had been so long since they'd done it. Jimmy Clausen, to me, is the last really good quarterback they've had at Notre Dame. Got some other guys that were pretty good, but nobody that was consistently dominant. They had a lot of upside, et cetera, and they've had a few guys get drafted in some capacity or make rosters, but nobody that was good for multiple years and really was a leader on and off the field, like the complete package. The kids they've brought into the program kind of fit that in general. So again, that's very important. You got to fit the program that you're recruiting to. And then on top of it, the other question I have, I think they're going to recruit receiver a little bit better because of the quarterbacks they've signed. Is that going to continue? That the 26 class for Notre Dame at wide receiver is very, very good. Caden Finley, probably the leader of that group. Bubba Frazier and several others are very good as well. But can Notre Dame get back to the point where all the positions are good? They've had some really good wide receivers over the years, like Golden Tate. That's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL over the last 15 or so years. But now, can you recruit the wide receiver position like you've been recruiting the quarterback position? If Notre Dame does that, they'll have one of the most dynamic offenses in all of college football. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to get all your latest recruiting news. We will see you again soon.